back to my channel. So in continuing my discussion on working through blocks, in my previous video I mentioned how I use different crystals. Today I want to talk about how I use meditation, divination, and crystals in different spells. I've previewed some of those, talking about candle magic and a few other things. In this video we're going to talk all about those three things and give you some tips if you don't use crystals at all in your practice, because I do have tips for you. I also encourage you to read the blog post in the description because it goes into more detail. So first and foremost, my biggest thing when working with blocks, any type of block, anxiety, depression, emotional issues, chronic pain, whatever, insert scenario here, I like to meditate. So if I'm working with anxiety, I like to meditate on the block in question. I like to ask myself questions about what's causing the anxiety, why am I anxious, what's making me anxious, why am I feeling, the way that I'm feeling. And if you see my hair moving, I'm sorry, my fan is on and it's moving. Anyhow, as you can probably see, I like to use journaling after the meditation. So I'll meditate a little bit first on what's causing the anxiety. I'll journal about it a little bit just to incorporate some more in-depth, deep thought on the subject, and then I will incorporate using a crystal. So I've mentioned amethyst and rhodochrosite, clear quartz in the previous video and post, and I mentioned those because I usually hold them to make it a more tactile experience, while I'm meditating. And in doing so, the tactile sensation of holding that crystal will in fact allow me to connect the energy of that crystal a little bit easier and work with it a little better. I also will focus on, again, the subject in question, anxiety or depression or panic attacks or whatever it is, and I try to incorporate meditation into that and work through that as best as I can. Then after the meditation, I generally, like I said, will do some journaling. And I've done different meditations for different things. I've done it based on situations, and this whole process will vary based on situation to situation and time constraints. And as far as meditation goes, how much energy do I have to devote to meditating? And if all I have is a few minutes, then that's better than not doing it at all. And I have found that through the meditating and through holding that crystal and working with that crystal's energy, and the journaling process has allowed me to understand why I'm feeling anxious or any other type of emotional issues. And even with chronic pain, I didn't get into this in the blog post, but with chronic pain, I found that focusing on the breathing aspect of meditating helps with the chronic pain, as well as using a crystal that complements that. So quick tip of, I like to use different types for chronic pain. I like to use clear quartz because I have lots of it. I have clear quartz in bulk, so I generally will charge a couple pieces for working with physical pain. Of course, this is not a substitute for any type of medical care. Highly encourage you using this as an aid to medical care. Anyhow, going on from meditation, divination is usually my next start of that process of working through my process of blocks. I love meditation and I love divination because they kind of go hand in hand in a way, because you can do this either way. You could divine first to help you understand what is going on in your own head or anywhere else. So for example, I like to use pendulums for very quick yes/no answers. I like to use oracle or card-based divination systems for more detailed explanations or outcome-based things. So for myself, that'll be playing cards or oracle, because I don't do tarot, as I mentioned before. Apologies, there's some noise in the background. I love to use crystals to get down to the root of everything. If I have crystals around, I'll divine with those as well. I love to use the card-based stuff for, like I said, more details. So for example, if I'm working with anxiety issues, I find that getting details on okay, so what am I overlooking? What is happening around me currently that's causing the anxiety, and what can I do to resolve it? I've done like 3-card spreads, or I've done like other types of spreads to figure this out. I've also used other divination methods as well to figure these things out, but it'll depend on the situation, it'll depend on the time I have to devote. But you can do this process before you do the meditation, or you can do it after. Meditating before allows you to clear your mind a little bit, so you're in a very neutral space. Divining before might help you find a meditation to use, or it might guide you. I've also used spirit communication in this process. I'll invite my specific spirits that I work with. I may incorporate automatic writing into that as well. I didn't mention that in the post, but I do want to highlight it here. I've done automatic writing in the past, which is a form of channeling. I've also used, like I said, pendulums and card-based divination systems and crystals. I've also used scrying as well. I don't do scrying too often, but I can do scrying, believe it or not, through fire. My vision is good enough that I can see a candle flame. However, I do scrying in short sessions, so I can't keep my eyes focused on a candle flame for too long. So I might focus on one question and then focus on another question in a different session or part of the session. Or I might do 1 to 2 questions at a time. It just depends on, how much time I've got and, when I want to do it. So moving on from divination, I want to talk about crystals, and I've talked a little bit about that in the previous post and video about, mostly the video on candles, but I want to get into like some tips for using them. So in candle magic, I've made grids around the candle, so I've used the candle as a centerpiece, and I've created one focal point, like with the crystal. So for example, if I'm using rhodochrosite, I will put that above the candle and surround the candle with complementary crystals. So if I'm doing a piece, I might do sodalite, I might do some clear quartz, I might do rhodochrosite for emotional balance, and I might do a little bit of carnelian for motivation, and maybe some hematite for grounding. It just depends. Those are just some grid I just thought about on top of my head. You can do it any way you want to, whatever shape, geometric pattern calls to you. I've also used affirmations in that as well, like burning a paper with whatever it is. You can also, if you don't have crystals around you, you can use whatever you've got. So let's say you don't have that, you can burn incense by making it. If you're really good with herbs, crush up herbs and make an incense on it. Use complementary herbs that work. I'm not an herb person, so unfortunately you'll have to do some research on that. If you're really into candle magic, you can charge the candles with different aspects of what you're working on emotionally or physically or whatever. Incorporate color magic into that. Are you a sigil person? Create a sigil around what you're working through. Use the moon phases. In fact, you could use the moon and solar phases. You can do emotional balance based spell work during sunset, during the sunrise. You can do to bring in healing. You could do it during the new moon or the waxing moon. You can do banishing magic during the waning moon, and use all these different methods for spell work and using crystals. You can use rocks in your yard and charge those. You can use plants, herbs, resin, whatever you use, work with those things. For me, I just have lots of crystals and I love working with them. And that's my way of connecting to the earth. And I also connect with the earth around me through the rocks in my backyard too. I have lived without the crystals before, so that's where I thought about all the suggestions. I also like to use the crystals with jewelry. Like I said, enchanted pieces of jewelry. I love talking and learning about different ways you can enchant different things. So I've done that with jewelry. I've done it with stuff I've carried. I've made spell jars with them in it. I've made little, like, not really a sigil per se, but like a thing on paper, and I've kind of left a crystal charging over it, and then carried the crystal. Just carrying the crystal in your bag is so versatile. In your pocket, wherever, you're connecting with that energy in that crystal all the time, and the more you work with one or two crystals throughout, a couple days or a couple weeks, learning how that crystal connects with you can really help. So these are just some tips that I have, how I like to use crystals and meditation and divination to work through my emotional and or other blocks. I hope that this helped you. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or other things that you want to mention. If you find that this video has been helpful to you, I encourage sharing. So please like, share, and subscribe with your friend, and subscribe and share with your friends. Please, if you have any, again, questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them. So speak to you all soon, and many blessings.